So, Sloan values, turn off your phones, keep quiet. And without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker of the night. He hails from Orinda, California, and he is known as Señor Picante in parts of the Amazon. This is his words, not mine, because he eats spicy peppers on top of fried piranha. This could still be the case. My good friend Will.
Thank you, Anna, and again, welcome everyone. It's my pleasure to kick off the Yarn for this school year. It's awesome to be in a bigger venue, or not all cramped in that tiny room across the way. I'm going to start my story 5 years ago, where probably none of you guys would really recognize me. After school, I moved to New York City, as a lot of people did. It's like you follow the way that your school kind of projects you to go. And probably 60% of my friends moved to New York, so you know what? I moved to New York City. And I bought 5 suits, and I had a tight haircut, and I worked at Goldman Sachs. And some of you guys probably had a similar experience, but I did kind of what people told me to do. But it was fun, like, right? The lights were bright in New York City, restaurants were delicious, music was loud, it was a fun life. But after enough of that, I kind of decided to take the next leap in my life. And I kind of did what society had told me was right, and what my parents were kind of nudging me towards, and some of my friends were making the same commitments. And so I invited my long-term girlfriend at the time to move from San Francisco to New York to live with me. And at that point in time, it was nice having her around. I'd come home, and she would be, oh, how was your day? And it was comfortable, right? Like you have someone there who cares about you, versus having your roommates who are like, oh, let's go drinking. I mean, it was amazing. And for the first time, like she would bring me to art exhibits or to restaurant openings and totally different things in my life. Over time, she moved to New York for me. She left her job, she left her family, she left her friends, and she invested in me. And that was exciting at first, and she provided a lot of comfort, but it became a little overwhelming at times because she didn't invest herself in New York. She didn't find new friends. She didn't really like her job. And so over time, I felt like a drone at work. After a couple of years, I'd wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, put on the same suit, a white shirt or a blue shirt if it was a risky day, maybe even a pink shirt if it was a Friday. And you know, you go down the escalator on the subway, you get on the subway, and you go into the big bank, and you work there for whatever, 14 hours a day. You come home, and there she was, sitting on the couch, like, oh, how was your day? And the repetition wore on, and it was a little tiring. And it wasn't until I was kept on going. I kept running this rat race that was around in a circle. I didn't know if there was an end to it. And it wasn't until on December 17th of 2014 when I got a phone call. I think some of you guys probably got a phone call too, from Kristen Lindemann, who basically said, hey, welcome to Sloan. And at that point in time, I kind of felt a weight lifted off of me. I knew that I would break this loop of running in circles to do something new. I didn't know what it would be, but I was excited for the new opportunity of what my life could become. And so I did what every self-respecting, thoughtful MBA student would do, is I quit my job, I broke up with my girlfriend, and I bought a one-way ticket to South America. And yeah, so that was great. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I met up with a good friend of mine, and he said, hey, Will, yeah, we're here, let's go to the Amazon. I said, yeah, I've never been to the Amazon, let's go. And so we go there, and we come to this small town called Leticia, which is a border town between Colombia, Brazil, and Peru. And in what can only really be described as a bar on the street, we met this guy named Jorge. And Jorge lived not in this small town of Leticia, but in the Amazon, in the river. And he invited us out with him the next day. And so Ryan and I said, okay, let's go. Again, let's go try a new experience. Let's have a fun time out there. And so Jorge brought us out in his canoe, which is maybe like 25 feet long from here to this wall, and maybe like 3 or 4 feet wide. And he brought us out to his hut, which is on stilts in like the floodplain of the Amazon. So The Amazon River is kind of like this, and in the rainy season, it overflows into the area around it. And so his house is on stilts out here. And so we met his family, we met his wife, we met his son, Gordo, who would row his canoe for, I mean, yeah, fat. For all you guys who don't speak Spanish. He would row his boat a mile away in the rainy season to go to school and come back. And his life was simple. Life was totally different for them. But Jorge loved adventure. He wanted to show me his life. And so among many of the adventures that we had there in the 5 days that we were there, the one that sticks out most notably was he took us into one of these floodplains that wasn't much of a plain. It was like where the bushes were and the trees on the side of the river. And we kind of snuck in there with his canoe, and he broke off branches from the canoe, and we started, or from the trees. And he made like jerry-rigged fishing poles, like the most basic fishing pole you could. And we were there to fish for piranhas, hence Anna's introduction. And what you do is you kind of stir up the water so you get the piranha's attention, and then the weight of the meat sinks down, and when it gets like 4 feet, all the piranhas just start snagging on it. And as soon as you feel a pinch, you just flip the piranhas out into the boat. So we were doing this for maybe 30 minutes, probably caught 40, 45 piranhas. And then this other guy that we'd met, Chan, who was from Hong Kong, all of a sudden, he was the man. Chan was the man. We actually made a song about him called Chan the Man. But he stops dead in his tracks, and he kind of like points at something like a ghost, like he saw a ghost. And Jorge quickly throws all of us into the middle of the canoe. I hit my head on the bench. Ryan falls right on top of me. And we're like, come on, Jorge, what the fuck? Like, and he takes us out in the middle of the river. He's like, guys, believe me, you'll appreciate this. And we said, no, why did you do that? And he said, Chan was staring down the face of a 20 to 25 foot long black anaconda. And we thought about it, and we're like, okay, that's a little scary. But surely the anaconda was hunting the piranhas that we were fishing. It smelled the blood, and it was all over the boat. And he said, no, guys, the anaconda don't really hunt for piranhas. They hunt for large mammals. So they're hunting you. And at that point, we took another step back, like, oh, God, we're in the middle of the Amazon River with a guy we met over beers in a place we have no idea how to get back home. And we're having an adventure of a lifetime, but, like, what are we doing? And so while we'd said yes to come to this point, we'd felt his life. We felt like what life was like in the middle of the jungle. We realized it wasn't quite right for us. So, yeah, crazy, right? So Ryan had to go home for school, and I quickly said, well, this isn't right for me either, but it was a great time. So I went back to New York. When I opened the door to my apartment back in New York City, so this is in April before we started in Sloan in late August, I opened the door to my apartment, and everything was gone. The couch was gone, the kitchen table was gone, all the cutlery was gone, and my girlfriend had moved out. And I still felt free. Like I didn't have anything in my apartment, nothing to remind me of who I was, nothing to like define who I was except for what I wanted to be. And so I thought to myself, what am I going to do for the next 4 months? What do I want to try? What do I want to accomplish? Maybe it's not going into the Amazon, but it's something else. So I thought, well, I always told myself I wanted to be a venture capitalist. So I begged, borrowed, dealt, scraped together 5 interviews and got a job, unpaid internship, if that's a job, working for a VC firm in San Francisco, and had an amazing time. I felt in control of my life. I wasn't doing what someone told me to do. I wasn't doing what someone expected me to do. I was doing what I thought was going to make the biggest impact on my life, to really define who I wanted to be. And I was happy. I was in control. And then that brought me here to Sloan, where not much has actually changed. I continue to meet so many of you, and I probably have only met, whatever, a third of you, and I want to meet the rest of you guys to feel what your lives are like, what you value, what experience you have. Maybe you don't go out catching crocodiles and piranhas, but you have other experiences that we all can learn from. And so with that, it's once you understand what the world can be like, what experience you can have, what I can have, it's being conscious about how do I want to then, what do I want to do going forward? Who do I want to be? And we're in a playground here, guys. Sloan gives you so many great opportunities. Look around, how many people here that are from across the world who have a totally different set of experiences that you could never even dream of. So take the experience and meet them, talk to them, take them out to a drink or lunch or whatever it may be, so that you can understand how you can consciously think about what your life is going to be like going forward, how to spend your time. Because, I mean, while I don't prescribe this on anyone, your life could, I mean, the time is short. Like, I felt that when I was in the Amazon, when I almost got hit by an anaconda. But, I mean, not really, but yeah, kind of. So make the most of that time here, and I mean, really, I thank all of you guys for making this a special place, and I'm excited to get back into the next semester. So without further ado, thank you guys all for listening to me kind of rant on about this. And
thank you, Will.